Hey, what's up, brother?
Yo, peace. What's going on with you?
Not much. What's going on with you, brother?
Not much. Not much. Behind the wheel right now on the move, but all is well. I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
really complain. How's everything on your
That's
end?
what's up. Everything good, man. Just trying to wind down for work today, so
Yeah. I
I
feel
want to
that.
thank you for accepting the invitation
Oh no, you
to
ain't
be
gotta
on
thank
the
me.
show.
Yeah, no, you don't gotta thank me, bro. I appreciate you for reaching out. I think I
Thank you.
appreciate definitely appreciate that for sure.
All
You know.
praises. Definitely.
Oh yeah, let me greet you properly. I'm saying shalom to you. I definitely seen your page. You know.
Oh, thank you, bro. Shalom
Yeah,
to you, man.
absolutely. Shalom. Okay. Yeah, I wish I brought the thought, bro. For y'all, buddy.
All praises to the Most High.
Mm-hmm. So where you from? You from New York originally?
Yeah, I'm from the Bronx, Bronx, New York.
Oh, from the BX? Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Let me check all the live feeds real quick, and then do a 2-second countdown. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I had an interview up there.
So the game is breaking up.
Um, where was that at? The Matrix, I think, studio.
Oh, Matrix. Yeah, yeah, no, Matrix Studios. Right. Okay. You were there not too long ago, a couple of days
Yeah, I
ago.
was at the Matrix. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's what's up, man.
Nah, no. This is a couple years back. Hmm.
A couple of years back.
Delay.
Most definitely.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, it's a
I think it
slight
might be a
delay.
delay. I think it might be a delay.
Yeah.
As soon as I get to where I'm going, we good.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna just do my basic introduction, and I'm gonna introduce you, and I'll get right into it. Okay.
Yeah, nah, no problem.
All right. There we go. What's up? What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? And we are live. We are live. We want to thank you for joining the podcast today. Saucy Conversation. This is the first episode of our season 5. So we want to thank all our supporters of the podcast. Appreciate all the love and support for y'all. Just listen to the podcast on all streaming platforms. Also buying the merch. We appreciate everybody just for the support and everything. And before I introduce my guest today, shout out to my co-hosts who couldn't be here today. Shout out to Dad and Mac, Bernice. And also make sure you go subscribe to the other podcasts as well, which is Social Discourse. Basically, if you love sports, you will love that podcast. And also shout out to our sponsors, Click A Vodka. So make sure you go support them, okay? And also shout out to Holistic Remedies, black owned and everything. And my favorite, they got body creams, hand butters, all that good stuff, CBD oils. So if you feel no pain and all that, they can take care of you. And, my favorite is the bubblegum berry. So make sure you go and support black businesses as well. And use that promo code HRMeSaucy. That's HRMeSaucy. You get 10% off at checkout. So this is only your boy Jeff seeing you there. And today I have a special guest. He's one of my favorite rappers that's out right now. I put him up there with the Benny the Butchers,
That's up.
the J. Cole's,
Hmm.
the Kendrick Lamar's.
Why not? Why not?
This brother is from New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? Putting it down, putting the work in. When I first came across this brother, it was a video on YouTube. It was an ad. And he had a song, a video called Kevin Samuels Moment. I say I'm a big Kevin Samuels fan. Rest in peace to him. And the way this brother was breaking it down on both views of a man and a woman, I said this brother is very special. And he deserves all the praises and blessings coming towards his way. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Saucy Conversations. Dre, Lloyd. Hi.
Yo, peace, man. What's going on with you, man? Thank you for having me.
Thank you, brother. Shalom, shalom to you, brother. I appreciate you for joining the podcast today, accepting the invitation. I'm a huge fan of yours,
Thank
brother,
you, man. I appreciate that.
and it's so much we got to pack into this 1 hour, you know.
Of
So
course,
we,
man. Let's get to it.
yeah, so we're gonna just let's start with the beginning, man.
Sure.
South New Jersey,
Yep, South Jersey, South Jersey.
South,
But
South
for
Jersey.
those who don't, that's right, that's right. Yep.
Tell us about young Dre growing up in South New Jersey.
Young Young Dre in South Jersey. So, I'm from a small town, called Linden. Can you hear me clear?
I get you loud and clear.
Okay. So I grew up in a small town, called Lindenwold, New Jersey. The nearest city that everybody's familiar with is Camden, New Jersey. I'm right outside of Philadelphia. Probably like 15 minutes away or so. But
Okay.
a young Dre is, to say the least, is a very young, inquisitive mind, man. Like, you know what I mean, with a lot of questions, a lot of unanswered questions.
Wow.
The early stages of my life had everything to do with me trying to figure out more so, who I was, as a, just as a man. Hello,
Yeah, you good.
can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, it had everything to do with me just being like, just a man, just trying to figure out, why certain things was like my favorite question, to any question or to any answer is why. Like, at the end of the day, man, I was just, pretty much, a person, man, like I said again, man, a lot of questions. I wanted to know, like, who I was, why certain things were going on, like, systematic. Like now I can articulate exactly what it is by why certain things like systematic, racism or oppression even existed. What was the true and real reason why, people who look like me, were getting mistreated, weren't being afforded like, the opportunities that, the next man might have been afforded. And another question is, why I wasn't able to explain to people exactly like who I was. Coming up, I've always had, people, from different, nationalities and ethnic backgrounds and things like that, pretty much tell me that they were, hey, listen, I'm Filipino. Hey, I'm Polish. Hey, I'm German. Hey, I'm, Mexican and different things like that or whatever. And I wasn't able to tell people who I was. So, that always bothered me, coming up, so I started, watching, a lot of things online, started off, listening to Professor Griff and Dr. Umar Johnson and Ray Hagans. Those are the three that really kind of like got me on my path and on my journey, but I mean, outside of that, the path and the journey and the quest for knowledge itself, I pretty much was a reserved, kid, bro. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I didn't really rock with too many people. I stayed cordial with everybody, but I always was like a loner. What I'm saying, really coming up. You know what I mean? And not that I didn't get along with people, it's just kind of like weird because I was looking at things like, didn't realize I was doing it at the time, but observing a lot of people's character. What I'm saying, and making the determination on whether or not I was going to affiliate myself with those people, if their morals or particular worldview wasn't aligned with myself. Man, I was a heavy thinker then. I'm still a heavy thinker now. Really to say the least, man. So I could go on and on, but hopefully that answers your question.
No, you did. Just tell us about your childhood. How was it? How it was growing up
Mhm.
in South New Jersey? Did you have both parents in the household? Who was your
Okay,
support system? How was school?
okay. So to be quite honest, I'll start from the last point first. School was not like me in school was like oil and water, bro. What I'm saying? It definitely didn't mix, at all. Uh, I mean, I make the joke or whatever when I was saying that, I tell people like, yo, I was doing the Kaepernick before the Kaepernick or whatever. And that was just me kind of like really being rebellious, what I'm saying? More so than anything, I remember I used to challenge, my teachers a lot. Well, this is more so really in high school more than anything else. What I'm saying? I would get my hands on some information. I'll bring it back to, bring it back to the classroom and challenge the teachers and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? During history class and shit like that. And excuse me, but also, it was like little small stuff, like like the Pledge of Allegiance and stuff like that. I wasn't standing for that, like you know what I mean. And I remember I was you know causing so much of a I mean, they say a disruption or whatever, but causing like a rift so much in the class or whatever that they ended up, calling my mom or whatever to come in, and they had like this whole little meeting, with my first period teacher, my eighth period teacher, my guidance counselor, the principal, the vice principal. Like I had like a whole meeting that they set aside for me because I was just kind of like going against the grain. Like that's who I was. Like I was challenging people on information and just looking at things like, oh, well, I technically don't have to do that. Like I don't agree with the Pledge of Allegiance is standing for, so I'm not standing for it. Like you know what I mean? They would try to, that's the first time. I'm not gonna lie. I think I was in ninth grade. That's the first time I've ever heard the term anti-Semitic because this is what somebody called me or whatever. I didn't understand what it meant. You know what I mean? But that's what school was like. But as far as growing up with two parents in the household, you know what I mean? My mom was there, and my dad, was there as well. I can't necessarily say that, as far back as I can remember, it was the healthiest relationship, between the both of them. They ultimately ended up getting divorced in 2007, I believe. So it's before I graduated high school. Maybe I've been like 15 years old, but that ended up coming to an end. As far as what was going on, in middle school, I started seeing like early. I'm even still today. I'm an observer, so I watch everything. So I started seeing certain things, 'cause I'm in the suburbs. You know what I'm saying? But anybody who knows anything about Lindenwold or the area that I live in, a lot of people from the city migrated to that area, for like affordable housing and different things like that. So it was certain elements of the city that was present, in my town. You know what I mean? Again, despite being in the suburbs, I'm talking about like, gang influence, you know what I'm saying? Like, Blood and Crips, even still now today are, are around. Like, you know what I mean? The MS-13 dudes and the Serenios and all them dudes was like, well, no, not the Serenios, I believe, but it's just the MS-13s. They was around. Like I know for a fact that like I think it was like the last week when I was in high school one day, they had us on lockdown and we couldn't even leave the high school until like 6 o'clock. We get out of high school like 2:19. We wasn't able to leave the high school until I think like 5:30 or 6 o'clock because one of the Mexican gangs or whatever chopped somebody up and had his ass floating in the in the pool or something like that. But this is what's going on like in the suburbs though. Like you know what I'm saying? So, certain things, was going on, I can't necessarily say that I was directly affected by it as far as me partaking in certain things and like that, but being around it and seeing how it affected certain people who I directly associated with was a whole thing. But for the most part, man, did I go through my stages? I'm wrap this point up or whatever. 'Cause I can be long with it sometimes. But did I go through stages in my early childhood and stuff like that? Where I was getting mixed up in the wrong crowd and doing the wrong things? Absolutely. But was it anything to the extent that I ended up doing time and nothing like that? Like, nah, it wasn't. It wasn't that wasn't the case.
Absolutely. While in school, did you have like any like favorite subjects or like
Uh,
what was your inspiration in school? What did you see yourself being when you was about like growing up? Like, did you see yourself being going to college and having a professional career? Like, what was it?
you know what? It's funny, man, because I didn't know. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was doing music, so don't get it twisted. Like, I definitely had that in mind. Like, yo, I want to do music. But I just didn't see myself and couldn't understand where my place would be in college. I've always had, again, like an inquisitive mind, but I didn't really think that I was like, you know, um, absorbing anything from the college courses. Like, I mean, not from college, from the school curriculum, you know, middle school and high school. I didn't really think I was getting anything from that. I learned more outside of high school than high school because I mean, I'm gonna tell you like this. When I tell you I literally was going through from seventh grade, I think I started making a transition as far as like how my mind was really operating and stuff like that. I'm looking at things, I'm like, damn, I say, yo, how am I gonna use this after I graduate? Like, you know what I'm saying? High school. History, I already didn't agree with it. One thing that always rubbed me the wrong way was the fact that, um, the only thing that we went over throughout the whole entire curriculum, as a, in relation to myself, was Black History Month. And I felt like Black History Month was BS because the only thing that we kept learning about was bits and pieces of slavery that we touched on. You know what I'm saying? We might go over Martin Luther King, Malcolm, slightly. I don't even think we went over Malcolm X, to be honest with you. But that was going on. Like, it was like bits and, George Washington Carver. Oh, this guy made the peanut butter and all that. Like, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, I'm not really getting nothing from this. Like, this is ridiculous. So as far as having a favorite subject, a favorite class, I'll tell you, the best class I had, I didn't mind was computer class because I was using up all the ink to print out my mixtape covers and stuff like that. I would take and design that stuff or whatever, and print out all my stuff so I can use it for my own personal thing. But outside of that, man, school, like I said again, it was like oil and water, bro. Like, and now that I can sit back and reflect on it, it was more so of a clash between me again trying to figure out who I was, where I stood, and the undertone of, I would say, a Eurocentric perspective, woven into the fabrics of like high school, like curriculum. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't feeling it, bro. I wasn't feeling it at all. You know what I mean?
Right. So you mentioned that you wasn't from the school like that. Um, when did you actually get the love for music? How did
Yeah,
that start?
okay, so I always had a love for music. Okay, so I think that because, like, when I was telling you before, when I was trying to figure out, like, who I was, along with me trying to figure out who I was trying to find ways to express myself. Okay, because I wasn't able to necessarily, like, like today, I can 1,000%, you know, articulate myself and kind of like really express to people how I feel through words and conversation. Okay. So, but before I couldn't do that. So I was trying to find like what my thing was. One thing that, us as so-called African Americans in this country, lack is the ability to communicate, and that's not necessarily just verbally. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a culture to express ourselves through dress, through a certain food. We don't necessarily have flags. A lot of people don't know any, like, geographic locations that we can pinpoint and say that, hey, we came from here. So therefore, under this umbrella that we call nationality, whatever that nationality, may be, I'm able to express myself like this through, religious worship, you know what I'm saying? Through, a bunch of different things, like, spiritual practices and different things like that. So I started off drawing, actually. You know what I'm saying? I started off drawing, and then, I started, riding around in my dad's car and in my mom's car, completely, night and day when it comes to the music. But my dad was listening to a lot of old, he had cassette tapes and things like that. So we listening to a lot of old, music, EPMD, Ice-T, King T, NWA, DOC, Ice Cube, you feel me, after we separated, you know what I'm saying, Cool G Rap, you know what I'm saying, Big Daddy. He listening to all this stuff. You know what I mean? Listening to all of this stuff, Run DMC, everybody, old, like, older rappers and things. And I just liked how that made me feel. I couldn't describe the feeling that I was getting when I was riding around, in the car. You know, I still got like old EPMD, tapes or whatever. Like, someone like Strictly Business, Business as Usual, Business Never Personal, like that. Like, this is what I was listening to. This is what, introduced me to the. And then my mom will be playing, India Irie, Luther Vandross, you know what I'm saying, Whitney Houston, Patti LaBelle. Like, she's playing that, old stuff like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Well, obviously there's older like R&B, so, but this is what was going on, and I'm like, damn, I really like the way that this makes me feel, but I couldn't sing. I had like I hated my voice. You know what I'm saying? When I was younger, you know what I mean. So I'm like, damn, I can't sing, so maybe I can start rapping. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I started writing poetry first, and then that, I started, downloading beats off of, LimeWire and stuff like that. For people who don't know what that is, I mean, hey, listen, man, that was just like the era back then. You know what I mean? Downloading stuff off of LimeWire and shit. You know, and burning CDs, like, you know what I mean, going to the Walgreens and buying blank CDs and just making beat CDs, and you know, I was recording, started recording myself off of N track, like Mixcraft, and what I'm saying, old programs like that, recording myself with a $30 Radio Shack mic, you know, and it just gradually, progressed, from there, But yeah, that's I've always had an appreciation for music, you know.
Absolutely. So your early influences were like the NPMDs,
Yeah,
the DOC stuff like that. Like you could say,
yeah,
like late '80s, early '90s hip hop.
yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah, definitely.
definitely that era.
That's what people call the golden era
Yeah,
in hip hop. Yeah, so there's a lot of artists that still to today. You think of like Jay Z's, you think of the
yeah,
Nas and
Jay
all
Z
that.
too, Nas too.
Like people like
Tupac.
I'm
Hmm.
just saying that those are the people in that golden era influenced them. You know, influenced like the
Yeah,
Jay Z and Nas and all that. So
of course.
that golden era with the Public Enemies, the NWAs, the Ice Cubes, the
Hmm.
APMDs, the Slick Ricks.
Yep.
That's kind of an era we actually take for granted sometimes because
Now we do.
they don't get enough recognition. When people ask, well, what's the best era of hip hop, people like to go to just the '90s, like late mid '90s, early '90s, with Pop, Big, all that. But that era don't get talked about enough, and this is the reason why I have this platform as well to acknowledge those eras like
Okay.
EPMDs and the Public Enemies, because one of my favorite MCs is Chuck D. Chuck D influenced me
Okay.
heavily. You know what I'm saying?
Of
Fight the
course. Of
power and
course.
all that. A lot of the bomb,
Hmm.
all that good stuff. So they don't get talked
Yeah.
about enough. Karis One, being from the Bronx, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Bridges over and all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, they don't get talked about enough. My next question for you is songwriting.
Hmm.
Um, now I know you mentioned you did poetry in the beginning.
Yeah.
How much did you write in poetry influence the way you actually structure songs?
Um, I would say it helped. Well, the influence, I think it's still a heavy influence because of just how I actually, because when I'm trying to get a point across, all right, so this is basically what it is. Like this is how I've seen things. So it's funny because I tell people like this, right? When I hear verses, like to me, it's like I can see them. As crazy as it may sound, it's like I can see like how the verse is kind of like structured. It's like super weird as far as like flow patterns and like different word. I would say like different word banks or whatever like that people choose to pick from when it comes to like structuring their songs. Okay, so if I'm writing a poem or something that is like kind of like more loosely like kind of like an unorthodox type of song, then I tend to use words that are going to be like more descriptive in a way to where um like Nas, for example, the way that he like the way that I'm seeing it is that it's like kind of like weird because he has like bars within bars, like main points within main points. So like he'll say something like, you know, uh I don't know, like it's kind of weird. Like I'm looking at like bars going across like horizontally, okay, and then I'm looking at every bar that's going horizontally, like it's different blocks or whatever that add different pieces of the puzzle that helps you visualize exactly like what he's saying, okay, and that's what makes like his structure of his verses so complex and so vivid, okay. So he's saying like, project steps, piston elevators, Heineken, like this is how I'm looking. This is how I'm looking at it. Like he's structuring it, what I'm saying, like this. So what I took away from that, and I'm like, okay, if I have something that doesn't necessarily have like a drum, like a kick drum or whatever to it, and it's just like chords or whatever the case may be, then I can get super descriptive because I don't feel as though I have a pattern or whatever that I have to, you know, be within bounds like too. Like I don't have to like, stay within, a certain flow pattern or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm picking words that's gonna help, really translate like the emotion. Like instead of me saying I'm walking down a block and I have a black hat or some shit like that or whatever, like I'm describing and saying things that's putting the pieces of the puzzle together to kind of create like the whole, like the picture. It's like it's super weird because it's like kind of like a like a like a like a like a collage of like different pictures put together to give you like the overall like bigger picture. Like what I'm saying, like it's super hard to describe. But as far as the influence is concerned, it still heavily influences me, especially when I'm talking about social issues, especially when I'm talking about possible insecurities that I might have as an artist, especially when I'm talking about or being insightful or giving some type of insight or perspective on certain things that's going on, in my immediate area, nationally, internationally, and yeah, man. So it's definitely like a heavy influence. Like this is what I'll say. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna wrap it up. There's certain artists that pick certain words that you're just not used to hearing, that you can't really predict what they're saying. J Electronica, Exhibit C, Exhibit A, Road to Perdition, different things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't hear the choice of words that he uses, which makes what he's saying exciting. Nas is another one, especially Royce the 5'9". Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think his fucking greatest verse is what he did the song Greed with Ransom. Ransom is another one. You know what I mean? He uses words that you never really heard before. That's like really like, put together. It's very complex, but it's descriptive and it's like straightforward. Like they bring you to where they are. Kendrick Lamar gets in pocket like that sometimes, but somebody like Jay-Z is more, it's easier to digest. You know what I'm saying? There's not really too much of a complexity when it comes to how he structures his bars. Okay? Because it's kind of like, a starting point and then he, the end of the bar or whatever is usually what he rhymes with or whatever. It might be, you know what I'm saying? It's not like super complex. J. Cole falls into that group. Kanye West falls into that group. It's certain people, man, who really give you like premium structured songs, bro. And so it depends on what I'm talking about. That's going to determine how, because I'm such a student and I absorb everything and I listen and I observe, like I told you before. That's going to determine how I structure my verses and how I structure my songs and, things like that. If that makes sense, bro. Because I know I'm going all over the place.
No, you're good, bro. You're good. That totally makes a lot of sense. My next question to you, what age did you start recording music?
Okay, so I started recording music at 14. I was 14 years old, as a matter of fact, when I started recording. Excuse me, hold on. Get this. Alexa, living room light on. Damn. Okay, yeah, it worked. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I was 14. I started, like I said, I started recording. The very first time I recorded was in a studio, actually in Cherry Hill, and I recorded, and I still got the song too. The very first song I recorded was a song called Jersey in the Building, and I remember because I remember when I was recording, I said something that was like, yeah, and I spit mean, man, just wait until I'm 15 or something like that. I'm just like, damn, I still got the CD. You know what I mean? I still got the CD. I still got my first rap book. I got a bunch of compositions and stuff like that I held. But yeah, that's when I started recording, and then obviously I didn't have a job, so I ended up, like I said, going to a Radio Shack. I think I asked my mom for a couple hours or something like that, and I had a microphone that I bought from Radio Shack, and I was just like recording myself, for a while, So it's like a whole thing, bro. Like it was like a.
Yeah, you said Radio Shack. A lot of people don't know about Radio Shack. These youngest out here do not know anything about Radio Shack. Radio Shack was the shit. That's what Radio Shack is where I got my first flat TV from. Radio Shack. A
See,
32
that's what I'm
inch.
saying.
It was a way ahead of its time. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Technical difficulties. Perfect. Just going to tell Dre to come back in. Dre, you hear me? Come back in. Hit the link again. Okay, definitely appreciate everybody for joining the podcast today. I still got, I guess, your Lloyd. Make sure you go subscribe to all the streaming platforms you're on. This music is amazing now. It's amazing. It's amazing. So, okay, all right. Dre Lloyd back in, okay? Hey, brother.
Nope.
Yeah, you good. So I was just telling everybody to go subscribe to your music. It's on all streaming platforms, correct?
That's right. All streaming platforms: Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, Deezer, all that other stuff. Google Play, everything.
Exactly. So Saucy Nation, make sure you go show some support to Drew Lloyd. Yeah. So you can continue what you were saying before you cut off.
Yeah. So damn. Oh yeah. So I was plugging the microphone in the front of the computer, and
Mm.
then plugging my headphones in the back of the. Matter of fact, no, I plugged it in the back of the computer where it said microphone. It was like a little green outlet or whatever that had a microphone over it or something like that. And then I
Yeah, I
plugged my
remember that.
headphones. Yeah, plugged my headphones in the front. And then I used to use my computer speakers for actual speakers, like you know what I'm saying, to mix on and stuff like that. Man, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I just know I was putting it down though. Like I said again, for every Mixcraft, never knew how to use Fruity Loops or whatever. I was using N Track, Acid. People don't know about Acid either. You know what I mean? But then it just gradually, grew into, I think I was using Cubase at one time. And then I went into using, what was I using for a while? Uh, I think not not Pro Tools because I had a hard time using that for some reason, but it was something else. I forgot what the other program is called. Logic. That's what I started using for a while. And then after that, that was it, man. I mean, I was recording myself for a while. Upgraded microphones, obviously. To like a MXL, I think it's called, or something like that. I had that. Got myself like a little preamp and stuff like that. You know what I mean, bro? Like I was just, like I said, gradually just getting to the point where I felt as though I was good enough and got to the point where I couldn't get any better. So I started going to the studio, man. And I've been recording out of the same studio now for about like 6, 7 years.
So absolutely. So tell us about when you're in the studio, right?
Hmm.
I know a lot of people, including myself, because I do. I used to rap.
Hmm.
I used to have a group. We started to get back into it, but we usually have rituals before we actually record.
Hmm.
Some of us used to have 4 or 5 chicken wings for a chicken spot with a Pepsi. Some people had some Mike and Nikes, some M&Ms on the side. Some people had to have some pizza before they record. Tell them what's your ritual when you actually in the process of recording a song. What do you have to have in the studio, or what is your mindset of actually going into actually recording the song?
Okay, so to be honest with you, I'm like real very boring, super boring. Only thing I need is water. That's it. I mean, as long as I got water, bro, to go in and record, I'm good. I'm not the type of person like I don't have a bunch of people in the studio and all of that. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not a drinker, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a smoker, you know what I mean? So I never wrote anything under the influence and nothing like that, you know what I mean? And the bottom line is that, I don't like a lot of people in the studio with me either. Like if you're not doing nothing, if you're not contributing to the actual, to the product, I'm usually in the studio by myself. I might have from time to time one person or two people in there or whatever, and that's like, close, friends of mine or something like that, who just want to kind of like sit through and see how I'm doing what I'm doing. But I like to kind of like stay focused. Like, I mean, I can't really function. I feel like and I was gonna say something, but I'm not even gonna say it. Everybody's process is different. Some people need a bunch of people in the studio or whatever to give them kind of like that, the atmosphere is like, they're home, they're relaxed or something like that, or they're amongst like their loved ones and things like that, and they might need that. You know what I'm saying? With me, it's not really like that. I have everything pretty much already done, and I go to the studio and I lay it down. Now, when you talk about the process for actually writing, that's something different because it's weird because I prefer to write early in the morning. I don't eat nothing. I don't like to eat anything. You know what I'm saying? I like, maybe water or having something to drink or something like that. But even that, I usually like to write on an empty stomach, you know. Um, and it's crazy because I gotta have like my body completely like covered, and I just pace back and forth or whatever. Like,
Yeah, I mean that's understandable because you get the itis real quick. Once you have like
right?
some turkey, bacon, egg, cheese, and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah, 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 yeah,
you
yeah.
want to take a little nap, but that's very understandable that you want to write on it. I do the same thing. I can't write on the full stomach.
You want to know something though? I think it's more so. I'll put it to you like this. So I look at things like, okay, when you get a brand new car, that's when the car is going to ride the best because it doesn't have any miles on it, right? You know what I'm saying? It hasn't really been through nothing. It hasn't ran through potholes. It hasn't been through any floods. You know what I mean? It hasn't ran over any stray cats, dogs, or squirrels and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It didn't go through the cycles where you have to, change the air filter, oil change, or whatever. It's clean, so it's going to run the best. Okay, so it's the same thing when it comes to me when it's time to translate my thoughts from up here, for all those who can't see from up here to well, I write on my phone now, you know what I'm saying? But my thoughts on paper. You know what I mean? I need it to be clear. Once you start going outside and you have a conversations with people and what I'm saying, you're eating or whatever, I feel like I'm cluttered at that point, like I'm clogged up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I need like a pure, clean streamline of thought, you know what I mean, when it comes to getting down, what it is that I really want to say.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm.
Let's bring this towards the albums real quick.
Sure.
One of the first albums I heard was Chapter Seven.
Hmm.
Um, One of my favorite songs is Chapter Seven.
Right. Yeah, mine too.
uh,
Mine too.
yeah. Tell us, man. Tell us, yeah, the tell us what's going through your mind at the moment writing a song, and how much time did it take for you to actually get that done? Because
Chapter seven.
it seems like there's a lot of time that you actually had to like sit back, think about it,
Hmm.
and jot it down, break it up, and actually just give it to us in the way that you just gave it to us. Chapter seven is very powerful at how you
Okay.
display the message.
So are you talking about chapter seven, the project, or chapter seven, just the
The
song?
the song.
Okay. Well, it's funny because it didn't take me too long to write it. It probably took me like all of maybe like 45 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, something like that,
Mm.
to actually write it. But the whole entire, it's funny. Well, actually, chapter seven. So I actually have a project that I'm actually going to re-upload that is before all of them. Okay, that's called Only a Matter of Time. I'm actually telling the story. I took it down because what I'm saying, licensing and stuff like it was like some stuff that was going on. So I took it down. I'm actually going to re-upload that. So from Only a Matter of Time, I did the project. Uh, what is it called? I forgot what it's time. I forgot what the other one. But then chapter seven. But the whole project, chapter seven, I did in a few in like in 4 or 5 days. I think it was like 5 days. I just wrote like a song a day or whatever. It wasn't really nothing too much. Actually, I wrote that when I caught COVID the first time. So I was like stuck in the crib and I was just like Time Never Was. That's what it was. I just released like Time Never Was. Chapter 7 came out. I put it out on my birthday, April 6th, I believe. And I just did it because I'm like, I feel like just writing another like putting something else out. I ain't had nothing else to do. And when chapter 7 came out, when I did chapter 7, the song, I just love the beats. It's produced by another guy from Jersey, Highest Power Beats. I ran across it online. I'm like, yo, this sample loop is crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? I said, yo, this is definitely me. And I still talk to him to this day. He's actually, cool as hell, man. But no, it didn't take me too long. It didn't take me too long actually at all. It was cool. It was
Yeah,
cool.
you mentioned the project before that, right? So, which the time never was, and yours truly is one of my
Yours
favorite
truly.
songs. It's on that album.
Yes. Oh
So
damn. So
the,
you really
to,
listening? That's crazy. Yeah.
I told you I'm a fan, man. I told you. I listen. I pay attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, yours truly is also another powerful song on that album. Tell us the mind frame you was in, the recording process, and how that came about.
So yours truly, same thing. Honestly, bro, like my recording and writing process is super. It's only like a few stories that I can honestly tell you that actually. I mean, it's only a few songs that I actually can say that I have a story behind how it really came together. So yours truly is, if I can honestly say that I have certain songs that really speak to who I am as a person. And really, I would say if I could have something that define like my preferable sound, okay, that I'm comfortable with. I'm not talking about, what, industry standard or what I would put out there, I'm saying, to represent me as far as like on a corporate thing. Yours truly is one. The song, the last track on chapter 7, Fortune and Fame, is another. Um, Another aspect of that would be the song that's called oh, um a Hiram story and Jacob's ladder. You know what I'm saying? It's something that, that's all the way me. Why? Because yours truly is something that I'm like reflecting on things that are going on, in the world, really more so. Like just everyday conversations that I'm having with people, whether I'm talking about, things that are going on politically, whether how certain people are, being, kind of like not really brainwashed or whatever, but kind of like conditioned to, think or behave a certain type of way. Like I said, again, it could be certain insecurities that I'm having and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's, yours truly. Not, but I'll let you answer the next question because I could bounce around like, all day. So you're on mute, bro. You're on mute.
No, no, I'm sorry. What I'm saying, go ahead, bro. Like, explain everything. Like, for me, there's no time limit. For me, I'm
Oh,
just like be respectful of your time. If you want to go overtime, you
oh
go
no, no, we
overtime.
good, we good. Oh yeah, no, we good.
I got a lot of questions. Yeah, I got a lot of questions. Like I said,
Ask them, bro. Ask them.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan. You know what I'm
Nah,
saying?
ask them,
So
man.
keep going, bro. Keep going. Keep explaining what was going on during the time. Because I got a follow up question, which is Black Sheep was another one of my favorite songs on the album, right?
Okay.
And there's a lot to uncover that will
Nah, let's
lead to
do it.
the Kevin Samuels moment because you talking
Yeah.
about some shorties and talking about a shorty in there.
Yeah. Nah, real
Yeah,
talk. Okay,
talking
so
about it.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so listen. So in all actuality, like I said, Fortune and Fame, honestly, is the one song that I've written that actually like brought me to tear. I'm gonna tell you like this. That is a song that I wrote or a track that I wrote because it's not like a hook or nothing like that, but it's a track that I wrote that I wrote it the quickest ever. It didn't take me no time to write it, and that's a song that on a playback, like I literally was in the car listening to it and like broke down like in tears. I'm talking about like that's the only song that ever did that to me to where like it really made me like really break down. I'm talking like boo hoo crying, like you know what I'm saying? And that's because it was, very vulnerable, of me. And it was talking about pretty much like the journey, everything that I was talking about, like, you know what I'm saying? On the song, really, not really exposed or whatever, but really reflected like, the downside of, chasing after, the dream, the fear of walking down the, path, leading to the unknown. You know what I'm saying? The loss of money, you know what I'm saying? Compromising, certain friendships that I had, during that time. You know what I mean? Like I said, everything I said was the truth, bro. Like I said, like some of the pictures and stuff like that, like there's a bunch, like, this is the thing, like there's a bunch of pictures and videos that I could post up of people who I've been around, people who I've met, places I've been. that people would, look at that and be like, oh, damn, man, this nigga, like, what I'm saying, yo, he really made it or whatever. Oh, man, you doing it, man, you doing it or whatever. And I'm just like, yo, bro, like, you don't even understand. The day that I took the picture, I'm gonna tell you something. And this is what I was talking about, like on the Fortune and Fame song, like what I'm saying, when I was saying, all those plane rides, lonely train rides, I had tears flow from my eyes, like, goddamn, dog, is it my look? Is it the songs? Looking up the guy, like, what the f did I do wrong? Is it wrong for me to think? Is it wrong to know my worth? Am I to put my pride aside and just put this money first, man? Like all the stuff I'm saying, that's things that I'm really thinking to myself because, like I said, I literally was on the phone one day. My dad don't even know it. But I'm talking to him as I'm on my way up there. I spent my last to hop on a train to go to, Shade 45, like Sirius XM, because I got invited to an event up there after waiting for Sway for over 8 hours and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? This is a week before, or it was a week before. I think, yeah, it was the week before I had an interview with K Slay. I'm not gonna lie, like, what I'm saying, I paid somebody to make that happen for me or whatever. They made it happen. I went up to the K Slay, everything was cool. And I'm like, damn, this is where Sway be at or whatever. I'm gonna go out here, I'm gonna wait for him or whatever. So I waited up there for over 8 hours, 8.5 hours to shake his hand. And
Stop right there. Stop right
yeah,
there.
yeah,
You see the audience. You see how he just forced like that. No, he waited for Sway for 8 hours. K Slade, man, we gotta drop a
yeah,
Saucy bomb for that one, man.
yeah. Yeah, nah, that's the truth, man.
The legend K Slade,
Yeah,
the legend Sway in the morning.
yeah, that's right.
This man was up there with them.
Yeah,
You, you,
five
you,
thirty in the morning, bro. I got up at
Five
three
in the
thirty.
morning.
Nah, I got up at 3:30 in the morning
Mm-hmm.
to hop on the train so I can be in the city at 5:30 in the morning, and did not meet him until 1:30 in the afternoon. So whatever time frame that was 6:30, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So about, yeah, that was 8 hours. I waited for him just to meet him. And that was a
That's
whole
that,
story within itself, bro.
that's spending dues. Cause they're gonna make you do that. They're gonna say if this artist for real, then
No,
we're gonna put him through the test. You're gonna wait 8 hours in the lobby until we actually call him up. That's how they do
for
it.
real.
People don't know
Yeah,
that, man. A lot of people don't know that. Like they're gonna test you. Like if you for real, you serious about your raps and your craft and all that. We're gonna make you wait 8 hours to be on my platform, like a Sway in the morning and the case
no,
late.
see, this is the thing, though. This is the thing. So I was already on K Slays. I had an interview with him the week before. I never was on. Sway never invited me up. He gave me his email address. That's nothing ever really happened. Like, what I'm saying, from it. But he gave me his email address, and it was kind of crazy because, like I said, I was up there, I was waiting. I know 8 o'clock passed or whatever, so the show already started because there's two entrances into the Rockefeller building where they broadcast from Shade 45. So I was up there by myself. And so after 8:15 happened, I'm like, damn, I said, he's already upstairs. And it was a guy, what I'm saying, who was doing security at the time. And he came out. I said, listen, man, I just came all the way up here from Jersey, man. I just want to know about even doing this the right way. I'm trying to meet Sway, man, da 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 da, whatever, whatever. And he's like, oh, well, Sway don't really like when people run up on him. You got to wait your turn and, things like that. He's like, I'll tell you what, what I'm saying, give me your music. I'm going to give it to him. What I mean? They call me the mayor around here. I'm like, man, this dude is fucking crazy. He ain't calling about, what I'm saying? Whatever. I'm brushing him off. So, but he was like, I'll tell you what you got planned for the day. I said, I ain't got nothing planned. I come up here to meet him, but whatever. So come back around 12:30, 12:45 or something like that. What I mean? Quarter to one. He usually wraps up the show. I introduce you to him. So I'm like, all right, whatever, man. I ain't got nothing else to lose. You know what I'm saying? So from 8 o'clock to that 12:30 mark, I was just trying to find a place, place to go. Now, anybody who knows anything about downtown New York, there is no place for you to go. They don't have no places, what I'm saying, early in the morning. You can't sit down. You can't do nothing. So I'm
Not
walking
during that
around looking
time.
like
No.
I'm homeless. Like, what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. And I found a lobby, with some chairs and stuff like that outside, and I fell asleep, on a chair because I was so darn tired. Like, you know what I mean? And dude woke me up and was like, yo, you can't sleep in here or whatever. You know what I'm saying? By that time, it was time for me to go back anyway. So I go back, the dude sees me or whatever. He's like, yo, what's going on? He's like, okay, yeah, it's 12:30. Okay, yeah, I'm going on break. So I'm like, you going on break? How you going on break? You're supposed to be introducing me to the whatchamacallit. So I'm like, oh, you playing me. Like, he leaves, comes back from break or whatever, and then literally everybody who's anybody stopped just to acknowledge this dude who called himself the mayor, who was a security guard, who's been working there since like the 90s or the 80s or something, like late 80s or something like that. So I'm like, wow, he really is who he says he is. I'm talking about like co-owners of like certain football teams was up in there. I seen a dude, Kel from Keenan and Kel, he came down. It was weird. Like, but now it's like a whole other thing because in the morning nobody was there. Okay, so now it's the afternoon. It's 12:30, almost 1 o'clock. So now paparazzi's outside actually, like the two twins that say that they Case Slay's cousins or what. I met them out there, you know what I'm saying, for the first time. And there's people hopping out of black trucks and stuff like that, and people running up and taking pictures. This is the first time I'm seeing paparazzi, so it's like a whole new thing. What's the name? Who Kirk Franklin was up in there. It was like that was I'm gonna say it like this: the day that I was up there, if anybody goes on Sway in the Universe and sees where he interviewed Lil Dicky, and because Lil Dicky was there, and Kirk Franklin, I don't think that they was on there together, but I think he did two separate segments to make it seem like it was two separate. But that was the day that I was up there because both of them came, you know what I'm saying, came down. And I never forget, I saw Tracy G first. I wasn't even going to say nothing to her. I stopped her, told her, like, yo, I've been over here, you know what I'm saying, since 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm just, trying to meet Sway. I'm a fan of the show. And she just completely ignored me. And she turned to the guy who said he was the mayor, like, yo, Whitehead, is this true? Has he been out here? He's like, yeah, the brother been out here since 5:30. And I'm like, damn, I said, yo, you really know everybody. So she's like, yo, make sure you introduce yourself to him. It's going to be worth it. Trust me. So I'm like, all right, cool. So now, I see a big wave of people coming down, like out through the elevators and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of cameras, people taking pictures, videography, stuff like that. So I see Sway come down with Kirk Franklin. I'm like, yo, I said, yo, now I'm all nervous. And the dude's like, I can't go over there with you. Cut him off. We're going on the other side. You know what I'm saying? So I go over there to the other side and he goes back up in the elevator because he forgot something, completely played the hell out of it. I'm like, damn, it's crazy. So I'm like, damn, what happened? So he comes back down. Long story short, I introduce myself. He acknowledges the guy. You feel me? Like the mayor. You know what I'm saying? Acknowledges him first, and he's like, yeah, this brother waiting for you. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? So he's like, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, your name's Drew. I'm like, nah, it's Dre. He's like, okay, yeah, Dre, what's up, man? You know what I'm saying? What you want? Like just like that. And I'm like, damn. I said, man, what I want? And I couldn't. And so the energy I got from him was like, damn. I said, I can't even really say that I wanted to get on the show at this point. I'm like, this man, listen, man, I just came up here to come meet you, bro. Gave him the whole little humble rundown or whatever. He's like, nah, 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 nah. So you mean to tell me you came up here at 5 o'clock in the morning? It's 1:30 in the afternoon. You came up here just to shake my hand. I said, yeah. And he just started busting out laughing. He was like, "Yo, that's what's up. Da, 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 da. Yo, what's going on? Yo, tell me about da, da, da." And I'm like, "Yeah." So you know what I'm saying? I said, I said the dude Sean Smith. You know what I'm saying? I was up here. You feel me? I just got done doing the song with him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Your boy Yinka, who does this and the third or whatever. He's like, "Okay, that's what's up. Listen, man, take my email down. Send me the whatchamacallit and tell your peoples I said it's coming." Like, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool. Obviously, I never got no, reply back from the email. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, by me waiting up there for him, I met a friend of mine who's still, you know what I'm saying, a friend of mine today, Aubrey. He's one of, works for Pandora. And, ever since then, it's funny because I almost missed the K Slay interview. He, went upstairs and, got me up in there or whatever. It was a whole other story behind that. But long story short, he ended up being the person who, anytime something ever happened up there, events or whatever, he would send me the invite so I can come up there and network. He wouldn't do it for me, but he like, yo, listen, work the room, do your thing. He's just opening the doors for me, like, you know what I'm saying? So it still worked out in my favor. I still got something from me doing that. But it's funny because I actually saw Sway again because the person who I met at a Juneteenth event, shout out to Melanie, we went up there to Caroline's when he was doing a live broadcast. So I ran down on him again, like, yo, what's going on? He looked at me like obviously he didn't remember, you know what I'm saying? So he looked at me like, yo, okay, yeah, that's what's up, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? And just kept it moving. But, that's what it is. But, the day that I actually get a chance to go up there, I will be running down that story again to refresh his memory. Trust me. Like,
Absolutely, man. Shout out to Slay and shout out to K Slay. Rest in peace to K
yeah.
Slay. By the way, when you met K Slay, right?
Mhm.
How did K Slay receive you?
Mm, I mean, to be honest with you, bro,
Was
like,
it tough love?
it wasn't tough love. I'm not gonna lie. It was more so, excuse me, it was more so a thing, like I said, like he did it because somebody set that up for me. See, the one thing that I want people to realize and understand is that if you start going on promo runs, okay, the energy that you're going to receive from whoever is allowing you to be on their platform is going to be different from if they request you and if they're familiar with who you are and what you're about prior to you coming onto the show, compared to if you know, got somebody to set it up for you, or if it was something that's pretty much like, you know what I'm saying, like some paid stuff or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, and this is the honest to God's truth, so it was a good experience, but it wasn't you can kind of tell it was more so like, going through like the formality of things. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he didn't like the songs, you know what I mean? But the introduction is everything. For example, you know, I could go to a record label right now, right? And get somebody to set up a meeting for me, right? They're not familiar with who I am. They have a relationship with whoever it is that brought me to the table. And their conversation with me is going to be, okay, well, let me see what you got going on. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah, well, your numbers ain't, all the way right. You need to work on this, you need to boost that. I like the music, you know what I'm saying? What's your plans? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a thing, like I'm just doing this because my mans or whatever told me to do it type of thing. But if they're familiar with you and they reach out to you and invite you to come up, then the energy is going to be completely different because it's a genuine interest. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see how you're familiar with the music, you know what I'm saying? You asked me to, be a part of your platform or whatever. Why? Because there's a genuine interest that's there. Now, if I was to take and hit you up, you feel me, to pay you to do something, you're not going to go out your way sometimes, you feel me, like to do the research and things like that, unless you just want to do like, small, like, say, okay, let me research some stuff because he's about to come on today type of thing. That's not what it is. And a lot of times people have to understand that, when it comes down to this quote unquote, industry, what I'm saying, that people are, so fascinated with, and that people are so eager to jump into, that, people need to understand, bro, like nobody really cares about, what you're trying to do for the most part. They don't care about your well-being. They don't care about what you're trying to accomplish. They don't care about, your moral compass, you know what I'm saying, overall. Only thing they care about for the most part is when and who is cutting the check. You know what I mean? The only thing that they care about is how and how fast or how soon they could benefit off of whatever favor you're asking them. You know what I'm saying? Asking of them. You know what I mean? And and so the so overall, man, it's not a it's not what people think it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you're going into these meetings and you're going into these parties and these venues and stuff like that, um, you can easily find yourself uh starting to have conversations in a way to where you're trying to impress someone. It's like you're at a job interview. You're kind of like somewhat adapting, the character, like, and like, well, adapting like who you are to fit that person's personality. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you can kind of fit in, so they can possibly, take a liking to you, so they can take in, so they can, yeah, it's cool. So they can take in, do something for you, in return. So it's like a personality contest, you know. It's like, trying to compete for prom king or prom queen or something like that when it comes to trying to get your shot, at that point. And it's disheartening because then you start realizing some of the personality complexes that some of your heroes and idols and people who you look up to, really have in real life. It's a different thing when, the A&Rs who's supposed to be listening to you at certain, showcases or whatever are really more concerned about a female that's sitting in front of them, at that time, rather than actually sitting down and listening to who's on stage, who might have paid a couple $100 just to get a shot because there's a major void and opportunity in certain people in certain locations, Jersey being one of them. You know what I mean? So certain people present, opportun like quote unquote opportunities, or certain chances that people, tend to take advantage of and end up getting taken advantage of in the process. You know what I mean? It's messed up, man. And it's kind of crazy because you have to go through the pain, the heartaches, you feel me, the loss of money, you know what I'm saying, day in and day out, like, you know what I'm saying, thinking about or trying to strategize on how to just get noticed. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people start getting into the point where mentally you start doing things to kind of, trick yourself and trying to convince yourself that you're not wasting time at that point. You know what I mean? So you'll do anything that's going to make you feel good for the moment. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a picture with a celebrity or a picture in front of, at a radio station, or just doing showcases so you can post something up online to, remind people or to stay in people's faces and be like, yo, I'm doing something. Like, you know what I mean? In all actuality, it's like you running full speed on a treadmill, bro. You moving around, but you're not moving forward. You know what I mean? It's a different type of thing, bro, and people don't understand that. A lot of people might try to fool you, not saying you, but a lot of people might try to fool other people or fool themselves into actually thinking that they're making progress, but in all actuality, some people, the fact of the matter is they're more, fascinated with portraying that they're living like a certain type of lifestyle that they really in reality can't afford, but they're trying to give off this persona that, they're in a better place than where they actually are. You know what I'm saying? And that's all a part of trying to live up to an image or live up to a certain idea of what success looks like to them. And they're more infatuated with doing that than actually making progress and actually, having like a certain level of discipline that will allow them to make, real progress in their career. Like I said, again, the money to make a long, to wrap up the point, um, the money that they spend, they feel as though is a better investment and looking the part than playing the part. And playing the part has everything to do with sacrifice, consistency, discipline, and doing things that you might not necessarily want to do. But because it's the business, you have to do it. There's certain things that you have to take in consideration when you're making the music that you're making. There's certain things that you have to take in consideration when you're stepping out. There's certain things that you have to take in consideration when you're having dialogue or conversations with certain people on certain platforms. You know what I mean? And how you carry yourself, but people rather smoke weed and put bottles of Hennessy in a picture like we've never seen it before. Like they have something that, is exclusive or something like that. Like it's just like, it's like a crazy thing. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people who are in the industry, whether they're entertainment lawyers, low level A&Rs who have to answer to 1,000,001 people before they even allowed to sign somebody, promoters, independent radio personalities, different personnel, they'll sell the thing to where it's like, you got to do rapper stuff. You got to be, do what rappers do. And that's a stereotype. You know what I'm saying? And most rappers are ignorant. Most artists are ignorant to the business. You know what I mean? But I can go on and on and on, bro. But it's like, that's the reality, man, of everything.
Absolutely, brother. You're on point. Um, my next question to you is,
Mhm.
when it comes to coming up with an album and actually writing for the album,
Mhm.
producing an album, how much you are involved in that? Because your bio says you are a rapper, songwriter, producer. So do you actually sometimes produce your own beats,
Right.
make your own beats? Do you? I
Uh-huh.
know you write your own songs,
Uh-huh.
and I know you're a rapper.
Mhm.
So the producing part of it,
Mhm. Mhm.
explain to our audience how much you are involved in the producing part of it.
Mhm. So it's more so me like playing like the Diddy role. So I'll take an orchestrate thing. So I have ideas. Okay. So for example, when you go to Time Never Was, Queen and Slim, that beat is a mix. That's an idea that I had that I sat through and was like, no, I need you to do like this or whatever. That's something that I orchestrated. Shout out to Dramatic though. Like, you know what I mean? Because he actually was able to execute. But a lot of people don't know. Now, if you go back and listen to that beat, that's a mix between Tupac's "Holla If You Hear Me" song, that sample, and Tyler the Creator, Yonkers. We mixed that together. You know what I'm saying? And certain things, like actually like certain sounds, you know what I'm saying, that you hear are actually this right here, my keys. Like, you know what I'm saying, that I'm jingling in the microphone. You know what I'm saying? So I did that. Obviously a couple other beats and stuff like that too, or whatever. But that's one that really stuck out and that I had a good time. Chapter 7, um, the Sean Carter effect. You know what I'm saying? That was a sample from Jay Electronica's. It was a mix between Jay Electronica's something off of his new album. I forgot which one it was. But that, as well as Timber, I forgot what the other track was. But again, just you know what I'm saying, just ideas. And for all those who don't know too, but that's pretty much like my part that I play, and and uh and like the production part of things. But for all those who don't know, if you're listening to Chapter 7 for the first time, the reason why I call it the Sean Carter effect, right, is that if you go to the second verse, I'm pretty sure you probably wasn't even thinking about it or whatever. But if you go to the second verse of the Sean Carter effect from beginning to the end, okay, I go through the entire track list of Reasonable Doubt. You know what I'm saying? So when you go back and you listen to it, I literally song for song in order, go through from track 1 to track whatever it is. I just go through the entire, track list of, Reasonable Doubt. You know what I'm saying? I put that in the second verse. So.
I did.
Okay.
I'm, like I said at the beginning, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Reasonable Doubt. I gotta ask you this because you're a Jay-Z fan, right?
Of course.
Is Reasonable Doubt the greatest Jay-Z album of all time?
I would say,
if it's not, what was your record? You rank it top 5, top 10?
yeah, it would definitely be top 5. The reason why I say that is because I think that Reasonable Doubt, the album, represented Jay-Z like in his earlier stages. That I'm talking about, like prior to the fame, prior to the accolades and stuff like that. You think about it, like everybody's. I would say this, for the most part, a lot of people's first album reflects a lot of times like just the overall appreciation of the art from the artist. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna get, the purest form of the artist, you feel me? Because they don't have anything else outside of like just the pure excitement, like, you know what I'm saying, of a new beginning. You know what I'm saying? So they're putting like their best foot forward in a sense to where, especially during that time, it was big to be original, you know what I'm saying? And also it was a thing to where, all they have is their life experience prior to success. You know what I'm saying? So their whole outlook and perspective is based off of the hardships, you feel me, that they may have went through, you know what I'm saying, the highest, points of their life, you feel me, based off of what they went through. And a lot of that times is only it's not built off of and revolved around money. You know what I'm saying? It's more so centered and circled around family, friends, and things that people appreciate before a luxurious or lavish lifestyle is introduced to them. Okay, so that's what's going on. Okay, when you listen to, and a lot of times that's the reason why it's more personable. You know what I'm saying? They don't have any like material things really big. I mean, Jay-Z did, you know what I'm saying, but it was different. But once you start talking about, you entering into a different level of success, you have certain pockets, you know what I'm saying, to where, uh, like, yo, this is like a pure, like the Black Album, you know what I'm saying? It was perfect, you know what I'm saying, for me. I also think Blueprint 3 was fire. You know what I'm saying? I think Blueprint 3 was fire. I think, uh, you know, Holy Grail had to kind of like, grow on me a little bit, but the 444 album was fire to me. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
I think
Holy Grail is not. It's not classic.
you said what?
Holy Grail is not classic.
I'm not gonna say it's a classic. I'm just saying I liked it. But I'm gonna tell you why.
It's not.
Because
I'm saying it's not.
no, I
As
know.
a
No,
Jay-Z fan,
yeah.
that Holy Grail and all that Picasso, that's not a classic to me.
No, I'm not gonna say it's a classic. I'm not saying it's a classic, but the reason why, like, I appreciate it for what it did for me and how it influenced me as an artist. So I'm taking something different away outside of just me being a fan. What I'm saying is that when I listen to Reasonable Doubt, you know, that whole sound and style and stuff like that, you feel me, something that I could appreciate because that was coming from, stemming from the earlier influences that made me want to write, you feel me, as an artist. You know what I'm saying? I can go through all those beats or whatever, the subject matter obviously gonna be different, but I like all them joints. Brooklyn's Finest, you know what I'm saying? Can't Knock the Hustle, like the first song with him and Mary J. Blige. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's different, it's different things, that I can appreciate. But like for the same thing, like Watch the Throne, you know what I'm saying? It's something and like how they went about attacking, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the production and the route that they took for me signaled like a progression, you feel me, as far as like the sound of music in general. That's the reason why well, as far with them, well, rap or whatever, in general. That's the reason why, like I said, I appreciate Blueprint 3 because the sounds that they used or the production that Timberland used, you know what I'm saying, and Pharrell used on, even the American Gangster album was, you know what I'm saying, was crazy. But I felt like Blueprint 3 didn't sound like anything else at the time when it came out. You know what I'm saying? It didn't sound like, any of the Jay-Z albums or whatever that came out prior to. So,
Yeah, I agree with you. Blueprint 3 is a classic. Um, the album he did with Kanye, Watch the Throne, is a classic.
mhm.
The only classics, the only albums that I don't actually see as a classic when it comes to Jay Z is Volume One.
What is it? Volume 1?
Yeah, Volume One.
Okay, yeah.
Live and Touch Card is 901. He was a couple. He was a couple of songs away for it being classic, but he had to have that Shiny Shoot era.
Hmm.
You Could Be My Sunshine with Foxy Brown,
Yeah,
and he had
yeah.
another song with Puffy and Kim. No, that's not a classic. Okay, so
Nah,
you got Volume One. That's not a classic.
mhm.
Okay, Volume Two is a classic.
Yes, it is. Yep,
Volume Three is a classic.
yep.
Blueprint One is a classic.
Oh, you said it
Blueprint
wasn't a
Two,
classic.
what?
Oh, you said Blueprint 1 wasn't a classic.
No, it is a classic.
Okay.
Blueprint One is a classic.
Yeah, okay.
Blueprint Two is not a classic.
It's not a classic.
No.
Okay.
Blueprint Three is a classic. American Gangster is a classic to me. When he came back, first came back, what was that? What album was that?
That was a, you said when he came back, that was oh, no. That wasn't a,
Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come album is not a classic.
nah, I didn't like that.
It's not a classic.
Hmm.
What was after that Kingdom Come album? Kingdom Come.
I think it was the American Gangsters that came after that.
No, it's before that.
The Kingdom Come?
Yeah.
Nah, no. I'm saying I think he made the American Gangster album after that.
He made it. He made it after the Kingdom Come album.
I'm pretty sure he did.
All right. So that's not Kingdom Come. Wait, Kingdom Come is not a classic.
No.
And then he came with what after that?
Um, I don't know because I think that he did other things after that. Like it wasn't like necessarily like his album.
No, I'm just talking about his albums.
Yeah, his albums.
So American Gangster is a classic,
I would agree.
right? So that came way before Kingdom Come, right?
What about the Dynasty album? Would you consider that his album?
It's a classic. It's a classic, but it's a Rockefeller classic.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. It's a compilation.
I don't consider that his own.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's a like he said it was. It's a collaboration album,
Yeah,
and that's a classic.
yeah.
When it comes to if Rockefeller could say what we did together is a classic album, that's the Dynasty album.
The Dynasty album. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, yeah. Kingdom Come, not a classic.
No.
American Gangster is a classic. Watch the Throne is a classic. Blueprint 2, Blueprint 3 is a classic. Um, what's after that? The Holy Grail.
Hmm.
It's not a classic. It's not.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with that.
Yeah. Holy Grail is not a classic. What he did after that? What comes after Holy Grail? And that's what it leads to 441, 444. Excuse me. 444 is the next one, right? After Holy Grail.
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like 4 years after.
That's a classic.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a 441 is a 444 is a classic.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I agree.
So out of Jay-Z resume, I mean, he has like 3 albums that are not classics. I have his like this whole 12 he won Grammys for.
Or 13.
13 because you got to add a compilation album with Linkin Park, which won the Grammy for.
Yeah.
Which is old songs. You just put it together. You just
What
match
about
the
Best
song
of Both
together.
Worlds? What about that?
Best of the Worst is a classic.
Yeah, I agree.
Cause that when Best of the Worlds came out,
I already know.
they had the club on fire.
That's true.
And, I mean, nobody cared about what R. Kelly was going on doing that. The Best of Both Worlds
It was over.
album, it was a classic,
It was over. You couldn't go nowhere without seeing that or hearing it.
bro. That was before the allegations. And during that time when they were actually, reaping the benefits of the album, Jay-Z said, hey, the album made me sick so much of what R. Kelly was going through with this whole investigation and allegation thing. It made him sick that they actually played 6 or 7 songs in the club. God damn. To play 6 or 7 songs in the club and your right hand man on that album is being accused of sexual assault, rape, all that, whatever you want to call it.
That's crazy.
It's great. My next question to you is 1,000 Slaves.
Okay.
Goddamn.
That's one of my favorite songs too. Yeah,
Damn.
that's one of my favorite songs.
Take me to the beginning. Take me to the beginning of that song. There's a lot of samples on there.
There's a lot of what?
Samples.
Samples. Yeah.
Yes. There's a lot of quotes of revolutionaries on that song.
Yeah.
Number one, how did you clear that?
I didn't.
You didn't clear it?
No.
All right, okay. I want to bring that up. I want to bring that up. All right, you did clear it. But at the end of the day, having the right quotes, the samples for that song, what you actually thinking, you actually making that song. Tell me and the audience what was going to be in your mind during that time.
Well, one thing I can say is that before I start writing some of my songs, I'll be listening to like documentaries and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's weird because I like I told you before, I like history and all that. So I'll take and listen to documentaries, and that's why some of the things that I say, like you'll hear it, like in my lyrics. You know what I mean? So what did I say? I said the spirit of 1,000 slaves running through my veins. Uh, Satan told me my fair exchange, but I replied, what did it say? Satan told me my soul for gold was a fair exchange, but I replied, I know you work magic like David Blaine, but the slice of the devil's pie wouldn't taste the same or whatever. This is me pretty much kind of like, yeah, this is me just pretty much kind of like going back and forth, you know what I'm saying, with myself as far as like the struggle between, I guess, like, taking, taking the bait, selling. I got not really because the whole idea of selling your soul is going against who you are as a man or as a woman. You feel me? Going against like your moral compass and things like that. You know what I mean? In exchange for, you know what I'm saying, a quick, a fast lane to, success or what you think success is. So that's what that was. And then the second half of it, you know, was again, this is what I was telling you before. There's no chords. I took something and I just looped it or whatever. I took it, because it was actually like, drums that was to that, but I just like the vocals and stuff like that that was, with it or whatever. And then, so that's like kind of like somewhat like, poetry or whatever. But again, I'm getting introspective. I'm talking about social injustices, social issues, different things like that. That's being misled. And what you hear at the end is, and actually, one of the things that influenced me to write that was what's the song? What's the what's that show called? Oh, The Godfather of Harlem. You know what I'm saying? Godfather of
Yeah,
Harlem.
that's my shit right there.
Yeah, that's why you hear Adam Clayton Powell at the end, because that started introducing me, you know what I'm saying, to what that whole thing was about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So, all in all, that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? Just me, just kind of getting creative and stuff. So,
All right. Kim was saying his moment. All right. Before we get to that song, it was one of my favorite songs that's done by you.
thank you, thank you. You gotta hear part two. I'm gonna send you part two so you can hear it.
Oh yeah, part two.
Yeah, I had a part two like probably a couple of weeks after I wrote that.
Oh my lord! Please, please send that shit to me. But Kim was saying his moment. We have what you're rapping about is both point of views of a man and a female.
Right.
Just for you coming up with this whole idea,
Hmm.
Cam was saying in the moment,
Hmm.
how much did you lean into Kim Samuel's content for you to get the actual idea for the song?
Oh, I mean, I was watching his videos, before. I'm not gonna sit here and say I can't sit here and lie and say that I watched an entire. I think I watched one entire episode because episodes were like 2 or 3 hours long sometimes or whatever. So I didn't have a chance to sit through it. It was really more so, clips of him talking about certain things. But I think that when Kevin Samuels came out, that he was saying or touching on certain points that a lot of men tend to agree with. And what happens is that sometimes I didn't agree with everything that he said. A lot of things that he said I agree with, but I didn't agree with everything. But the thing is that because no, like I think that guys for such a long time didn't have a point of reference as far as like a celebrity or somebody speaking on their behalf that has some type of following or influence, that people just gravitated towards him so much that regardless of what he said, nobody looked at him as a person that was capable of doing no wrong, because this is a person who's actually speaking for me, or somebody who's actually be able to articulate, what it is that I've been feeling or been wanting to say but couldn't say it or didn't have the courage to say. You know what I mean? So when it comes down to it, I think that um, a lot of points that some of the points that he made, uh, that he was putting out there, um, isn't popular. You know what I'm saying? It's not popular, so therefore a lot of people didn't, weren't going to say it. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be in a lot of, guys' best interest to voice their opinions on certain things when it, comes to actually pursuing, whoever it is that they're trying to be with, because, when it comes down to it, you got to understand, like, a lot of things that we look at as normal is a reflection of the day and time that we're in, as well as the society that we live in. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, when it comes down to it, nobody wants to be the person who's going against the grain. Nobody wants to be in a room of 100 people and 99 people, you know, all agree to go left. You know what I'm saying? Make a left turn, and you're the only person who's like, yo, I think we should go and make a right turn. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just uncomfortable at that point. So, so when it comes down to it, it started getting to the point where he started to, make people have a conversation. some people started, kind of like forced to have a conversation. So when it came to, like, I found myself, you know, talking to a lot of my friends about a lot of points that he talked about. And so therefore I was trying to figure out something or a way that, I'm like, damn, I said, I want to, be able to stand out and, what I mean, and get people talking or whatever. And so that's how I kind of came up with it. It didn't take too long to write. You know what I'm saying? At first, I wasn't even going to use it 'cause I didn't like how it turned out. Part two is way better. It's shorter. The points are shorter as far as like the verses, the 16 bar verses, but how I structured it is just way better. It's easier to digest and things like that. As a matter of fact, when I was writing from the female's perspective, it's crazy because the girl who I had play in the video,
Oh yeah,
she
she's fine as hell. She's fine as hell. Who is that? Shout out right now. She fine.
oh yeah, shout out to Mimi, man. She's an artist too.
Oh
But
yeah.
mhm. But the thing is that she had a quote or something under her picture that said something to the effect that I used to be called burnt biscuit or something like that, and now I'm black and beautiful or some shit like that. I forgot what it was. But the thing is that the whole burnt biscuit thing, like she's from the suburbs and everything like that, so I'm pretty sure she went to like a predominantly white school or whatever the case may be. And she was really. I'm like, yo, somebody had to really call her that because nobody makes up, you know, that name. Like, what I'm saying, burnt biscuit or whatever. Like, you know what I'm
She's
saying?
light skin. She light skin.
Huh?
She light skin.
I'm talking about the girl in the video.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is she light skin or is she? No, she's not light
She's
skin,
dark
right?
skinned.
Yeah, she's dark
She's dark
skin.
skinned.
Girl, Bert Biscuit.
No, what I'm saying is, if I went on her Instagram,
Uh
there
huh.
was a caption under her picture
Uh
that
huh.
said that they used to call me burnt biscuit, but now they call me black and beautiful. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Because of the
okay.
darker, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying. I get what
So I'm like, yo, I think that somebody really called her that. So I kind of really like made me, something like, damn, that's crazy. Like, I asked her about it, you know what I'm saying, too, but she was like, yo, like, it really used to call me that, like, you know what I'm saying, growing up, like, I think in middle school or something like that or whatever. So, just the overall, I would say the uh, the people who don't appreciate, who they are because of the stigma that's placed on people of, what I'm saying, like a darker hue. People don't understand like the psychological damage that can do to young kids, male and female. Like, you know what I mean? So, for the longest time, that's what I was saying, what I'm saying, for the longest time, like, people were not acknowledging, what I'm saying, darker skinned women or whatever. And it was like a self hate thing that was going on. And, you know, I mean, that's just honestly what it was, bro. So that's why some of the points that I made, it does, stem back to, a racial bias and, a racial bias, man, and like prejudice, self hate. A lot of things that we have is like self hate that's going on too. I'm saying, as black and quote unquote African Americans in this country, man, that we still fight over today. You know what I mean? So I was incorporating a lot of that, and Shahrazad Ali, another one of the influence. You know what I mean? I'm incorporating a lot of that stuff into the verse.
let me ask you this: how much feedback? You know, because putting Kimber Samuels in your headlines
Yeah.
can lead to so much feedback.
Hmm.
How much feedback do you receive to actually, releasing that song, and how much do you actually to put the energy in to talk to these women like, hey, or there are some men as well that actually believe that Kevin Samuels was wrong, like they want to be
Yeah.
simps and all that. But at the end of the day, how much energy that you have to on your end
Hmm.
to let the other side know, hey, this is a message I got for this man. This is what I learned, and this is what needs to go forward. How much energy you have to put going towards that?
Not much, because I'm gonna tell you why. Because the thing is that what people gotta understand is that I'm talking. See, a lot of times a lot of people disagree with Kevin Samuels and his opinion, which all it was is an opinion. Even though some things are facts, but nonetheless, it's perspective on things because their behavior, and what they wanted to do. I tell people all the time, being a victim is a luxury in being a victim because you don't have to take accountability for your actions and the things that you say. So, therefore, if somebody wants to go out there and act like a damn fool, and somebody wants to be, go online and be half naked all the time and sleep with this guy and sleep with that guy and what I'm saying, have like a certain type of behavior that's undesirable to people who are actually halfway decent, who might be looking for a wife, I'm saying, and a decent partner, people are gonna fight you on that because they want an excuse to continue the behavior. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, I'm not arguing with nobody. If you want to continue on to do what you're doing, then that's fine. But the bottom line is this, I tell people, all the time, you know what I mean? Whatever it is that you do now is going to come back to haunt you later. Why? Because if you're out here sleeping around with a bunch of guys or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or you're online talking about how independent you are. Ask yourself, independent of what and for what? Why is that being highlighted and celebrated? Where did that come from? If you're, publicly talking about what you do in the bedroom and showing parts of your body that only should be exposed to your partner, you know what I'm saying? Not only are you not giving whoever it is that might come across you in the future nothing to look forward to because everybody's been seen it already, you know what I'm saying? But you're devaluing yourself because what happens when people go to a car lot and they buy a used car? People don't mind spending money on something that was pre-owned, but what are the first couple questions that they ask? How many miles does it have on the car? How many owners does it have? Has it been through a flood? Does it have any prior engine problems? Why? Because you want to know exactly what you're investing in at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Now, if a car has one owner, two owners, you know, 50,000 miles on it, all highway miles, no floods and stuff like that. Okay, you know what? Whoever it was that, prior, owned this car, whatever, took care of it, it's in good condition. So therefore, I don't mind investing, what I'm saying, money into it. But if you had like 100 different owners, shit that been ran through the mud, catalytic converters messed up, head gasket blown off, and everything else and stuff like that, like, yo, this car has been through something. At that point, it's my choice on whether or not, and guess what, that car is going to go a lot cheaper because the value done went down. So at that point, it's my choice on whether or not I want to invest in you or not. Instead of me dealing with car issues, it's more so now me dealing with the embarrassment that I might have to potentially deal with walking through public places, knowing that everybody who's anybody and see my girl half naked. You know what I'm saying? Or understanding that, okay, damn, when I bring her over my boy's crib, it's a potential that one of us in the circle might have slept with her before. Or somebody who we know them probably slept with her before, or knows what she does in the bedroom and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Especially if she's in a public eye, you feel me? And she's talking about, giving fellatio to dudes and how she likes to do this, that, and the third, and what she likes in the bedroom and stuff like that. Now you got a complete stranger that knows exactly what y'all doing in y'all private time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Why would somebody want to deal with that? You have to ask yourself that question.
Yeah, I agree with you. Cause me, I ain't doing that shit.
Why?
Yeah, I ain't dealing with it, bro.
Nobody not doing that, man.
As relationships grow, with me, I'm just going with the flow of things.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to your songs. Kind of help me. Get to certain type of things in the relationship I was actually in at that time. How do you view a man and a woman in a relationship?
What do you mean?
Meaning, and I got to keep it real for audience because it's a saucy conversation. when it comes to the man and woman, who's in charge? Who's not?
All right, so what we gotta understand is that when you're talking about somebody being in charge in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a thing to where like we can't that's like a power struggle thing. Okay. So what people don't understand is that and men get it messed up too, is that when you talk about somebody who's supposed to be a partner being being submissive to you, that does not mean that your relationship becomes a dictatorship. Okay. Um Now naturally, you know, nature is gonna have, assuming that, the man or whatever, the male in the relationship, has some sense or whatever, and he's somewhat normal, he's naturally gonna assume, or try to assume the position of being a leader, trying to be the head of the household, but you have to also define what that means. That does not mean that you lay out all the rules for the house and stuff like that. You feel me? And what I say, what I'm saying, this is exactly what you do. That's not what it is. Because at the end of the day, anybody who's supposed to be or call themselves or like to, view themselves to be a leader has to take in consideration, what I'm saying, the needs or necessities of whoever it is or whatever it is they need to fulfill for the people who they're leading. You know what I'm saying? You about to say something? You want to say something? You on mute?
My fault. My question to you: is a woman meant to believe? If is a woman meant to lead in a relationship?
I mean, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. And but now, what does that? Now, what does that? Now, what does that mean, though? You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about that, you know, it's the whole idea of somebody being, you know, the head of the house. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, assuming that all his ducks are in a row. You know what I'm saying? And that everything is in order on his behalf. You know what I mean? Now, when it comes down to it, when it comes down to it, you know, I feel as though the natural, role, in a house or any relationship is gonna be like, all right, so we gotta understand something too. Let me say this. The society that we live in, bro, when it comes to a certain demographic of people, the idea of independent and dominance, what I'm saying, is being marketed, you feel me, to women, you feel me, and being marketed to females, I'm saying, to African American women and females, to the point where they will disregard completely, somebody trying to, take his role, you feel me, in a relationship, and then they'll wonder why shit is out of order. Like, what I'm saying? But this is dead culture that what I'm saying, that we're practicing. You know what I mean? A lot of niggas don't know how to move, they don't know how to respect themselves or respect whoever it is that they're with either. You know what I'm saying? So shit be fucked up. You know what I'm saying? It'd be messed up all the way around the board. Because you know why? Because you got a lot of dudes, you feel me, who's overly emotional and all, what I'm saying, all up in their feelings and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And they react off of emotion. The decisions that they make is based off of how they feel. That's irrational thinking. You can't lead nobody like that. Let me ask you a question. If you took in, what I'm saying, we had a president right now, you know what I mean, who was emotional and based his decisions off of how he felt for the day. You know what I'm saying? If he got mad at Korea or something like that, or China or whatever the case may be, and he decided to take and bomb them dudes and nuke, you know what I'm saying, the whole thing. You know what kind of problem it's gonna cause for us? That's all based off of emotion. You feel me? If you start getting mad and everything else. Like, you know what I'm saying? You need somebody, who's gonna be, what I'm saying, kind of like level headed and not allow their emotions to dictate their actions. Like
So
that.
the president is feminine, right?
What's that?
Is the president right now feminine the way you described him to be?
The president?
Yes.
President's racist.
Point blank period.
So if you describe the person to be, he's feminine.
Well, if that's him, yeah, I don't pay him no mind, but I know he's racist.
Yeah, I mean, we all know he's racist. It's been like that since he actually became a congressman. What I'm saying is the way you did actually describe the president, he's actually a feminist,
Yeah, there you go.
and that's the wrong way to be when it comes to this search situation as you guys described. When it comes to President Biden, it actually pleases me the feminist movement. Everybody knows that when it comes to the feminist movement, there are certain things that they cannot do. Let's just start with the WNBA, right? Women's National Basketball Association. I work for the NBA myself. I work on First Street, Fifth Avenue, right? So every time the WNBA has a game, right? They suspect all these so high numbers of the. Let's just start with the Barclays Center. The New York Liberty is actually played at the Barclays Center, right? So they suspected thousands of people being there. Nope. Because at the end of the day, when you actually look at the numbers, there are only 200, 300 people there to actually support the WNBA. Because they are not the same as the NBA. And when you come to a certain standpoint of modern day feminism, that women actually put themselves in the position that say, oh, we can do the same exact number a man do. If you had Don Taurasi and LeBron James in the same game, you have them in the same game, right? Can Deanna Taurasi do the same thing LeBron do in the same game? They aren't.
No, not the same.
Exactly. So that's my point. My point is that when it comes to WNBA, you are not equal.
Right.
Feminism is saying that you're equal to what men can do. Whatever men can do, you can do, and you can do better. That's not the damn same point. Actually, men actually trying to prove, and that's the actual system. The system is that Sue Bird cannot do what actually Steph Curry did. Steph Curry can shoot for the half court like just nothing, and hit the same half, and hit the same half court shot that he can do in any NBA game. Diana Taurasi can do that. Sue Bird can do that. No. So this actual notion that WNBA players are equal to what the NBA players are, and feel like they actually can do the same numbers as actual NBA players can do, is actually nonsense. But in a society that we in, we actually get the certain handout and certain paths that WNBA players can actually be equal to an NBA player because they actually are in a professional and actually in a currently accurate association. But that's not the case. Because we already know there's a difference between men and women. Men and women is not equal. Whether you want to put it or not, we are not equal. Men can do certain things they can. When the last time you see an alley-oop in a WNBA game?
No, it don't happen.
That's what I'm saying. We are not equal. So you pushing the feminist movement saying that we are equal, we can do whatever the men can do. But actually, on the court, you can actually do what we do. So, listen, you can't even do what actually a trans can do. If a trans come out and say, hey, I'm a woman. But in the before life, you say I was a man, right? And I actually go into the running position, whether it's running, whatever you want to put it. Let's just stick with running, right? I can run laps around you, right? So the man, you put this so-called man that so-called man that actually accepts himself as a woman. He in this certain division that's dominated by women. And when you put him in actually that position, he actually dominates the woman, and everybody want to act like this is actually a certain blasphemy or something like that. He's a man. The man that has a man see himself as a woman, he's a man at the end of the day. He got testosterone.
Right. No, I get your point.
He has testosterone.
Yeah.
So whether you see yourself or not as a man or a woman, this man sees himself as a woman. He said, "Listen, I don't see myself competing in the man's position because I'm a woman. So let me transfer myself over to the women's division and actually dominate. The man actually, the so-called woman actually denominate. He actually sees himself as I used to be a man, and he actually dominate. How many articles we have seen when a trans person being locked up for getting other women in that cell or other cells pregnant?
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it. I definitely get it.
It doesn't make any sense to me. So at the end of the day, it's like, bruh, what you are is what you is. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, when it comes to a trans or whatever, you're a man that actually try to trans to a woman, but you actually consider yourself as a woman, it does not translate because at the end of the day, you're going to dominate those women in the division that you try to dominate. Whether it's track, whether it's basketball, whether it's tennis, it's at the end of the day, you have the testosterone to actually overcome what the woman cannot overcome in that division.
Right. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. You know.
It's crazy.
No, it is. It is. But this is the day and age that we live in, man.
It's crazy. And, you know, like the Most High said, this is the modern day spiritual Sodom and Gomorrah, and also modern day Egypt with the monuments you see in DC. Bro, the next question I'm moving to, and I'm looking to and I want to keep it going. When it comes to your overall message, or what you just have to bring to your audience, the fans, and everything, what are you trying to bring? What's the message you try to bring to them, and how would it lead them to a better road that you actually strived in the beginning?
Yeah, well, my overall message is to become the best version of yourself. You know, even though a lot of people say that, they don't really elaborate on why that is the overall aim, goal, message, or mission. You know what I'm saying? And it's because the thing is that once you become and understand, who you are, where you come from, and where you're going, you know what I mean? I think that, every person should, strive to, leave something behind for the generation that's coming up, after them. So that way, the person who, you know, um, is coming after them, whether it's a son, daughter, granddaughter, great grand, whatever the case may be, that person should be able to benefit off of the sacrifices, that you made in your lifetime. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to it, a lot of people can't tell anybody who the 3 or 4 times great grandmother is, and that's the person that's directly connected to who you are and responsible for your whole reason, of existence. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, I do believe that in order for you to, live or your memory to be, carried on long beyond the time where, you're buried back into the ground or put back into the ground, you have to, sacrifice. You have to leave something behind in order to leave like an imprint on the hearts and minds of the people who you directly, affected, obviously like in a positive way. So, regardless of, what you're going through, what I'm saying, or what you're trying to achieve, you should, put your best foot forward in order to, like, really achieve, that goal. Um, First do it for yourself, and then also, do it for those who, you're trying to help, in the process. That's what's important.
Absolutely, Dre. What's next for you? Do we have a new album coming out? The last release one is 2020. So
Yes.
we got a new album coming out. Tell us about that, or if you could tell us about that, tell us
Yeah,
about
sure, sure.
certain details. What's going on with you, brother?
hmm So right now, like I said, the project, will come out probably in this is August, probably in September. Probably come out next month. You know what I mean? But as far as, my situation, you know what I mean, I, can say that I'm in talks with, certain people or whatever may be possible, like, little situations and things like that. But we're just talking, what I'm saying, at this point. The main thing is that I think but the next project is gonna be more so based off of having a conversation and talking about certain things, like, what I mean, like I got tracks like did Nipsey die for nothing, again, that's talking about like social issues, and the Kevin Samuels moment part 2, what I'm saying, Elohim Dream, the Black Messiah, different songs like that or whatever that people are, I think are definitely going to appreciate, because I think that I'm solely focusing on just delivering a message of um, exactly what I just told you, self-fulfillment, you know, and evolution, self-evolution, man. And that's what it's all about, man. So you'll get more of that from, my next project. But, you'll obviously have like more visuals and different things like that. But, all that stuff is coming soon.
Absolutely, and we're gonna play those images on the network just to show support to our brother. You know
Yeah, I
what I'm
appreciate that.
saying? Um, Dre, my last question to you. In 5 years, no, I see the pictures right now. I see the Rock Nation logo and all that. You know, what I'm saying
hmm
I want to bring it up to what you. But at the end of the day,
hmm
5 years from now, what do you see your brand and your music right now?
Where do I see it? I see it impacting the hearts and the minds of the youth. What I'm saying, inspiring them to, pick another path. What I'm saying, outside of things that's gonna, lead them to their own demise. You feel me? Ultimately, what I'm saying, we're doing a lot of things that's, aiding and campaigning, towards self-destruction, whether it's drugs, what I'm saying, alcohol, drug of choice, alcohol, what I mean, and strictly just focusing on things that's going to satisfy, our physical being, like the flesh, man. And I want to have something established, because the music is going to be the campaign. Like, what I'm saying, that's going to be the commercial. What I can do, what, the influence that I hope to have and achieve acquire one day, the financial resource and opportunity that I hope to, be able to acquire one day. What I'm saying, I want to use that to open up doors for other people who really need it. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's what it's about, man. It's not really about us at this, at that point, but yeah, that's the goal. But
Absolutely. Trey, I appreciate you, brother,
I appreciate you, man.
for accepting this invitation to actually be on the show, man.
Of course.
And I'm a fan, as I proved today on the show.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
I appreciate you on the show, man, bro. I appreciate you, man. Like, I'm a fan of your music and all that. And I wish you nothing but the best.
hmm
And bro, this is just the beginning, man. And if we have future projects you have to promote on the show, man, the platform is very open to you, bro. It's
Okay.
open to you. Just hit me up. We're like, yo, Jeff, I got no project that's coming up. This shit go crazy as hell. I mean,
Yeah.
what you do? This bring on the show, man. This bring on the show because I'm a fan, and I'm gonna be listening. I'm gonna be
Appreciate that,
listening
man.
to you, man, and it's nothing but love, bro. And Dre, stay on. As I close it out, I have something to talk to you about after the
Okay.
show. Okay,
Yeah,
but
this is
shouts
my
to
number, bro. You could always hit me up too.
oh, most definitely. Shout out to everybody who joined the live broadcast on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook page on Saucy Nation TV 22. So make sure you guys subscribe to all the platforms we're on, and also subscribe to all the audio platforms we're on, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Doesn't matter what you do. Make sure you subscribe to all the platforms we're on. Our boy Dre Lloyd doing his thing. Go to his page right now and subscribe to all the platforms he's on. All right, like his videos, songs, whatever. Because this this man right here is one of my favorites right now. Like I said, beginning of the podcast, he's up there with the Kendricks, man. He up there with the J. Cole's. You know what I'm saying? He up there with my favorites from New York, which has been the Butcher. You know what I'm saying? That's the people I listen to right now. Other than that, I listen to old school rappers. I'm a Jay-Z fan, so there's other old school rappers as well. Nas, whatever. It doesn't matter. I can't, But as of right now, Dre Lloyd's on my playlist. So make sure you go to subscribe to, his profile page and all that. And make sure you get all the music and support his artist music right now. At the end of the day, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. At the end of the day, Saucy Conversations, Saucy episode number 1. Appreciate Dre Lloyd, and we're going to see you on episode number 2. Drop that damn Saucy bomb, goddammit.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good one, man. I appreciate you having me, bro.
Peace and love. Hold on, Dre.